Welcome, welcome. We are also going to hit the record button. That's an important step. As we're looking at iridology, I would love it if you would take a moment and introduce yourself to me. Let me know where you're from, maybe, and do you have any iridology background? If I know I've got people with me who have some iridology background, I can often go a little bit deeper. If I know I've got mostly new people, I will keep it more geared to the new people. So if you wouldn't mind letting me know where you're from and if you've got background, that would be wonderful. There are so many different kinds of iridology out there, and there are so many different philosophies. Our focus today is going to be on constitutional iridology, on introducing you to CI and how it works. Now, I've been in this industry as a health professional for 4 decades. And so with that, I'd like to take just a moment to introduce myself. I started studying holistic health in the mid-1970s, even before I graduated from high school, and really got interested in it when I was in university, even though, there were no courses. It was nothing like that at university. I was studying to be a school teacher back then. But I had some health problems and I went to the doctor, and the doctor could not give me any explanation as to why things were happening and what we could do about it. And I got frustrated. Then I met a fellow who, a few years older than me, knew a little bit about natural healing. He knew some herbal stuff. He knew some dietary stuff. He knew a bit of iridology. He knew a bit of reflexology, kind of knew a little bit about everything. As we spent more and more time together, he taught me what he knew, and I ran with it. I also fell in love with him and married him, which was probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life. So it's been over 40 years now that I've been in this industry, that I've been studying and practicing and helping people. And I have to tell you that I truly love what I do. I truly love coaching people one-on-one, and I absolutely love teaching holistic professionals or health professionals the art of iridology and how to integrate herbology and all those kinds of things. I also really love working with infertility, PCOS, and pregnancy in my clinic. Those are my passion areas. Over the many years that I've been involved with this, I've written and self-published and self-distributed several books. They are all out of print right now. Pregnancy Naturally, The Herbal Birth Kit Handbook, Healthy Kids Naturally, The Essential Guide to Nature Sunshine Products, Biokinesiology and Color Therapy Level 1 and Level 2, and the Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology Textbook. I've also created courses to go with many of those books. So there was Herbology Level 1, which was 20 hours of practical usage of herbs. We didn't talk about harvesting or growing or preparing things. It was just go buy them at the store and this is what you do with them. That was so popular for many, many years that we put together a Level 2, which was how to understand the ingredients in a herbal formula and how to understand all the things that formula could be used for. That was also very popular. Designed and taught Biokinesiology and Color Therapy Level 1 and 2. For a few years, I was a certified prenatal educator and taught prenatal classes. Loved that. That was so much fun. And most recently, in the last several years, about 5 years ago, I certified as an iridologist and an iridology instructor with the International Iridology Practitioners Association. I am now one of only 3 certified IPA Level 3 instructors in the world. Most of the instructors are Level 1, 2, which is core curriculum. And I've added to that the new level, took the course, did the studying, wrote the exam, passed the test to become a Level 3 instructor. So I invite you to stay with me till the end of the course today, at the end of our webinar today, to learn a little bit more about the Dynamic Iridology Assessment System course that will be starting again in April. I'm also, with all of my credentials as a nutritionist, as a herbalist, as a master herbalist, and as a certified iridologist, I'm a member of the Canadian Association of Holistic Nutrition Professionals and the Canadian Association of Natural Nutritional Practitioners, as well as the Alberta Herbalist Association. I really appreciate these organizations for the the support they give the industry and for the way they help to progress the practice of holistic things in the world. Our next live course start date for dynamic iridology will be April 21st. If you are a health professional, could be herbalist, a nutrition coach, a naturopath, a chiropractor, maybe you're a medical doctor or a registered nurse and you're looking to do things that are a little more holistic, then this course could be for you. If you're interested in learning iridology and learning how to use it with your clients or your patients, depending on your designations, stay tuned because I've got a special invitation coming up at the end of our time together today. I wanted to start with a little testimonial from one of my students. This is Joyce Lee. She's a certified esthetician, clinical aromatherapist, a chartered herbalist, and a nutritional consultant. And this is what she said. She said, I took an iridology course from another school a few years ago, but I was left feeling inadequately trained and with no confidence in the material or my abilities to perform accurate assessments. Judith Cobb, on the other hand, is a wonderful instructor. She presents the material in this course in a concise, organized way. Every aspect of this iridology course is covered in detail. She clearly answers every question asked, no matter how trivial the student may think it is. Judith structures the classes in a way that makes them incredibly interesting. Clarification is clearly established through her instruction, discussion, and student participation. Upon completion of Judith's course, I feel very confident in my abilities and excited to offer iridology services to my clients. This course is an incredible value, highly recommended. All right, so with that seed planted, are you ready to learn a little bit about constitutional iridology? If you are ready to get the answers to these questions, let me know in the comments box. Give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me an oh yeah, give me something that tells me you are ready for this information. Amazing. This is great. Thank you so much for that. So today we are going to answer 4 questions. Number 1, what is iridology? Number 2, why does it work? Number 3, what can it teach us? And number 4, how should it be used? These are important questions for us to be answering because there's a lot of people out there that with my 40 years of experience and knowing 3 different styles of iridology, a lot of people out there that are doing it wrong. And I'm saying that very confidently. When we talk about iridology, and for those of you who are with me on Instagram, I'm going to move my camera closer for you. There you go. That's a little bit better, right? Iridology is primarily the study of the colored part of the eye. This is the iris, and it is pronounced iridology, not iridology. It's not your ear we're studying. It's the iris. And so when we are looking at this, we are looking for how are the fibers sitting in the iris? What is the color? Are there any fibers that are doing interesting things? Are there any other shapes or colors showing up in the iris itself? All of those pieces of information are genetic. They give us information about what this person has inherited, and certain markings will give us a little more information about what's going on as well. Those markings, as we're going to find out, are actually in the sclera because modern iridologists include an assessment of the sclera or the white of the eye. Where the iris is genetic and inherent, the sclera may have genetic components and is largely dynamic. What that means is we can see in the sclera where there's congestion in organs, we can see current and dynamic indicators that give us clues as to what may be going on in the body. So we're looking for things like blood vessels that are doing interesting things, or we're looking at different types of growths that may happen on the surface of the eye, or different colors that we may actually see in the white of the eye. All of that gives us information about the current situation in the body. So why does iridology work? You know, there's a lot of people out there who don't understand what iridology is. and they don't understand how it works. And so we need to look back at what it is and why it works. We know that the eyeball is the largest neural receptor of the body, right? It's a part of the nervous system, and it connects via nerve pathways directly to the brain. We know that the iris itself has over 28,000 nerve endings, but we don't know what they all do yet. The eyeball develops embryologically at the exact same time as the nervous system does because it is a part of the nervous system. And what that means is that the nervous system knows everything that's going on in the body. And if the nervous system has detected a glitch, or if the brain knows there's a glitch somewhere, it shows up as something in the iris of the eye. There's usually a marker in the iris of some kind when it's an inherited or genetic blip. Now, that doesn't mean we can do genetic screening through the eyes, because we don't see specifics. We see generalities. The irises, the irides, are assessment tools. They are not diagnostic tools. When we see a marking in an iris, it is not a guarantee that there is going to be a problem. It is simply telling us what the inherent potentials are. That makes sense? The eyes are not crystal balls. And LeBlanc 2277 says, pinguecula, yeah, when we talk about things in the sclera, we can be talking about pinguecula, pterygium, and there's several other markings that can come up in the sclera that tell us a little bit more about what's going on in the body. Okay, so again, for focusing on today's webinar, we're going to be focusing on things like, what are the inherent predispositions we see in an iris? So what can iridology teach us? It teaches us about the genetics, about inherent predispositions, about what this person has inherited from generations past. We know that what is in the eyes gives us information going back 3 to 4 generations. So, for example, these eyes tell us this person is predisposed to spending a lot of time reacting in the sympathetic nervous system. So they tend to deplete their adrenal glands a little bit, and they're always running in the fight, flight, or freeze mode. They're always ready for the next crisis. They're always ready for the next bomb. They're always ready for the next problem. And they often overreact. So when we see someone with these kinds of rings coming around their eyes, again, we know that that ties back to their adrenal glands. So we want to talk to them about their stress, not about their current stress levels, because for these people, everything is a stress. Instead, we want to ask them, how do they respond to stress? So we'll give them a scenario. If the dishwasher flooded, how will you respond? What will the world see? What will happen in your body? How will you feel it in your body? If you have a minor issue, like somebody on the freeway cut you off, and now they're gone, they're way ahead of you, and you're safe, what is your immediate reaction to being cut off on the freeway? Right? And so when we understand how they react, it helps us to understand more about how their adrenals are functioning. Right? We might also ask them about sleep patterns. We might ask them about blood sugar levels, because those things all tie into this as well. This particular person, is also predisposed to having her liver run the show. Now, this is why it is so important for us to know our anatomy and physiology very well. What does it mean if the liver is running the show? Well, the liver does over 500 different jobs. And so we need to know that the liver has a key say in how the immune system works, in blood symptoms like your red blood cell count, your lipid panels, things like that. It has important roles in our energy balance, in our allergy reactions, in hormonal responses, in digestive issues. So when we see eyes like this, we need to ask those questions. We actually need to start with asking the client, what would you like my help with? Because there's no sense in talking about markings or chasing down things about the liver that don't correlate with what the client is interested in, at least on the first visit. Right on that first appointment, if this client came in saying, I have amazing hot flashes that I'd really like to not have anymore, then we know that we want to focus on liver from a hormonal issue, not from an immune system issue. Does that make sense? So seeing what we see in the eyes, correlating it with what the client wants help with, and understanding anatomy and physiology means we can actually ask questions. So this particular client came to me with recurring bladder infections and really awful allergies. Now her eyes suggest that she is predisposed to allergies and infections because those both tie back to liver. The liver may not want to do its job very well. So it means that we need to be working on a constitutional level, not on a surface level. So we could give her herbs for the recurring bladder infections. But, really, that's a Band-Aid. And we might want to do that to help her be comfortable. We are also going to need, however, to work with the liver and to make sure that her immune system is totally on track. That may track back to those adrenal glands again, because if her adrenals are stressed, her immune system will also affect her immune system. So we want to give her constitutional remedies. We want to give her constitutional answers. So we would want to then maybe look for herbs that will do double duty for us. So for example, golden seal. Golden seal is a bitter herb, which means it works really well with the liver. It's brilliant for the immune system, and it's great as an infection fighter. So if I can give her something like golden seal, and it's covering so many of her concerns, that's a good thing. I probably don't need to actually give her anything specifically for her bladder if I'm addressing things at a constitutional level. Now, constitutional iridology does not enable us to diagnose. So we can't give this person names of diseases that could be affecting her. But we can and should use iridology to guide the questions we ask, again, in conjunction with what the client has asked for help with. And we can then use iridology also when we've got that information from the client to help us decide what are the best answers for this client. Now, did you notice in looking at these eyes and in talking about bladder and liver and even allergies, which stem from liver usually as well, I never once said this person is toxic. I never once said this person needs to cleanse. I did not say she has a congested liver. I absolutely did not say that these eyes look unhealthy. We can't possibly know if she is toxic or needs a cleanse or has a congested liver just from looking at her eyes. We need to have a conversation with her. It's also not accurate to say these eyes look unhealthy because the irides are inherent, they are genetic. And what that means for us is that these are the color we see in the iris itself, the base color, the fiber structure, they are not going to change. They are going to stay this way. And so this is not an unhealthy eye. This is simply her eye, and it gives us information. But we need the conversation with the client because we need the context. We need the context. What can iridology teach us? Well, again, the iris is inherent. The sclera is dynamic. So as we look at this particular set of irides, the collarette, and if you've got Jensenian training, you might call it the autonomic nerve wreath. The collarette is very snug. It's close into the pupil. So without knowing anything about this client, we can be thinking, tight collarette means she's probably prone to constipation. She probably has poor energy production. However, keep this in mind. We must always ask the client and ask in very broad ways so the client gives us the information we are looking for. We never tell the client what they should be feeling. So with this client, I would ask, tell me about bowel movements. How often do you have a bowel movement, and are they easy to pass? What is the color? What is the texture? Right? I would ask her about her energy. How's your energy throughout the day? And let her describe her energy to me. I already know what I expect to hear, but maybe she figured out a long time ago that if she ate a certain way, she'd be constipated. If she ate a different way, her bowel would function well. That if she ate certain foods, she would feel heavy and lethargic, but if she ate other foods, she would feel energized and good. And so I need to find out what she's experiencing now and what she's doing in her life to get those results before I know what to do with the eyes. So this client was very, very aware when she came to me. She had already figured out that her food really impacted her bowels, that she didn't do well on large meals, that she really does well on small meals. So she'll do 5 or 6 small meals a day. She's figured out that she does really well on vegetables, not so great on grains, that she does really well on good proteins. And because of all of those things, she's making really good health choices overall. She also had already figured out that if she used digestive aids, she felt even better. So even though this looks like she should have some issues with her small and large intestines in all kinds of ways, she already had that figured out. And I was simply able to tell her, well done. What else do you want to work on? Now, her eyes do suggest a predisposition to allergies, particularly in the mucous membranes, that she's more likely to have seasonal allergies. And so knowing that, I asked her, are you aware of, do you know of, or do you feel like you've got allergies of any kind? And she was able to confirm that, yes, she has seasonal allergies in the springtime when the pollens are heaviest. And so her allergies suggest that we still should probably be working a bit on her gut, right? And so what we decided to do was that we just wanted to support her gut with some good hydrochloric acid and a little bit of collagen to work with rebuilding the gut lining. And we just wanted to keep it super, super simple for her. And that was how she got excellent results. She kept up her very good food choices, her healthy lifestyle habits that she had established before she came to see me. And we just added some betaine hydrochloric acid for protein digestion and some collagen to help with her gut. So how do we use iridology in clinical practice? Here we have another female client in her mid-50s, and she came to me because she was having wicked hot flashes and she didn't want to have those anymore. She already had a really pretty darn good diet and a pretty darn good lifestyle. She's a psychologist by training, and so she understands the importance of self-care and of doing things like taking time for herself to recharge and regenerate. So as I looked at her eyes and saw that she has those rings going around her eyes, and her pupil is on the small side, which gives me other information about her nervous system, I wanted to find out how she responded to stress. And she said she's really worked through that. And she really recognizes when she's got stress, and she's got lots of different modalities to help her let it go. I asked her if her hot flashes, because that was her primary concern, got worse when she was stressed? And she said, absolutely, yes. She's got these beautiful dark brown eyes, which tell us that her liver wants to run the show. And we see this dark brown pigment down here, which says her liver really wants to make things a bit messy. Now, when we talk about liver, we need to recognize that, again, it does over 500 different jobs. Emotionally, the liver is about anger, bitterness, and resentment. So I asked her, and I always do this in a way that is very gentle. I asked her if she holds a grudge or if she has anger issues. And I would have asked it in a way that would have been like this. Now, I don't know you very well because we've only just met. Your eyes suggest that you might have a history or a tendency towards holding a grudge or keeping score. Is that true? Is that how you really are? And she said, well, it used to be, but I've learned how to not be that way anymore. Great, absolutely brilliant. As we looked at her diet, her lifestyle was so good. Her diet was really, really quite good. There was only one thing in her diet that I felt like I needed to suggest she should change. And that was she had 1 cup of coffee a day. Just one. One is enough to wreak havoc. And so I asked her if she would be willing to do an experiment to give up coffee for 10 days, monitor her hot flashes, and then report back to me how she felt. So she did that. She came back in and she said, yes, I gave it up for 10 days. And yes, hot flashes were tremendously better. I went, that's lovely. So tell me, what is your plan to move forward? Are you planning on giving up the coffee completely, or an occasional cup here and there? Or are you going to keep it? Which one is, what's more important to you, to be hot flash free or to have coffee? And as she said, coffee is my only vice. I don't drink alcohol. I eat healthy. I work out regularly. I take care of myself. And darn it, I enjoy that 1 cup a day. I'm going to keep it. And from that point, there was not much I could do to counteract the effects of the coffee. I did suggest that she could add some B vitamins and a few things like that, but that probably wouldn't be enough to actually have much impact. Coffee's like that. Coffee likes to run the show, and it can make life very, very difficult for people who insist on keeping it in their regime. So again, when we're doing this, there's a lot of different markers in this eye. We could be focusing on the radial furrows, the contraction furrows, this pigment, the white haze at the edge of her eye. We could be looking at each of these blood vessels. Not all of those are important to the situation at hand. And so I strive to not overwhelm my clients with too much information, because when we give them too much information, they often don't do anything with any of it. I keep my comments very focused on what their immediate concern is. We get good results with that. They're able to stick to the programs we create based on that. They're able to feel like they're winning. And as they continue to come back for more appointments and we see more and more improvement, we can work on more things. I can give them more information in bite-sized pieces so that they're never feeling overwhelmed and they always feel like they are making forward progress. Does that make sense? So good to have so many of you with me on the Instagram feed. Thank you so much for that. And Marie, it's always good to have you with us on the Facebook group and others who have joined us there as well. Is this making sense? If this is making sense, just give me a makes sense in the comments box. So again, when we are using iridology in clinical practice, we are using this as an assessment tool to help guide our consultation with our clients, right? To help them be more successful. We're not doing it to show off. We're not doing it to give them more information than they could possibly use. We are doing this to guide the consultation. So when we use iridology in this way, and LeBlanche 2277, thanks for those thumbs up. That's wonderful. When we do this again, we are using iridology to guide our questions, to create rapport, and to inform our recommendations. I want you to think for a moment, if you've ever been to a wellness appointment, and the practitioner you were using gave you like a 5-page questionnaire of just general questions they ask everybody, and then continue to ask you general questions when you were in session with them, did you feel like you were making progress with that practitioner? Or did you feel like you were just another patient on the conveyor belt? On the other hand, have you had the experience of going to a practitioner who only asked you what could be relevant, could be very relevant to the situation at hand? And if they kept their questions laser focused, did you feel like you were being heard as you gave your answers? Did you feel like your practitioner understood you and was gaining deeper understanding of you with every question and comment they made? That is what we want when we are using iridology. We want that rapport, we want that feeling that we understand our client and that our client feels understood and heard as well. Truth be told, I have many clients that have been with me for nearly since the beginning of my business, right? Easily many over 30 years and some nearly 40 years. We could do their sessions in 15 minutes. They know enough of what I'm going to tell them that they could probably give it back to me as well as I can give it to them, right? They still book an hour. They still want to pay for a full hour with me. And when I ask them why, the answer is always because you listen and you hear me. And a lot of that is because of the iridology work we do. This is Adam Zukowskis. He is a lovely herbalist naturopath in London, England. If you're in London, England, and you need a herbalist who does iridology, you need to see Adam. He has recently completed the dynamic iridology course. He came to me already well trained. He had a lot of iridology under his belt. And this is what he said: having had comprehensive iridology training in the past, I can attest that the dynamic iridology course is well-rounded and covers all the necessary basics, embellished with the teacher's own experiences and discoveries. The course is taught from an up-to-date information, and it is clearly apparent how much work she puts into staying in the forefront of iridology research. The hidden gem in this iridology course is the ongoing support that Judith kindly offers, and which I find to be an invaluable gift and resource. That's an important thing. It really is, because when you do the dynamic iridology course, I'm going to introduce that to you in just a moment. And when you've completed your classwork with me, you're not cut off. You actually still have access to all of the group mentoring that I offer and to our private social media groups, so that if you have cases that you are working on that are challenging you, if you have questions, you're laying in bed late at night going, I wonder what this means when I see it in the eye. You have a recourse, you have a way to get answers, even after you've finished your course, even after you've certified, if you choose to certify. The Dynamic Iridology Assessment System is the only online, fully mentored course for nutritionists, herbalists, naturopaths, medical doctors, registered nurses, chiropractors, you name it, health professional who want to streamline their clinical work without sacrificing client care. Nutrition coaches and naturopaths especially tend to spend a lot of time outside of their client time creating programs for their clients. When you do iridology properly, you put an end to that. You get your programs created right when you're with your client, which means the programs are manageable for your clients. It means that your clients can more easily follow your programs. That's going to give them better success and long-term retention. If you still want to have your clients coming back to you, not necessarily once a month for the rest of their life, but 4 or 5 visits, and then they're off following your instructions for a few years. Then as they get older and things shift, they need more advice, they come back to you for another 4 or 5 visits. If that's the kind of practice you want, then you want to learn how to do iridology the way I teach it. If you want to learn more than just iris markers, if you actually want to learn how the markers play off each other, how they support each other, If you want to be mentored in learning how to create programs for your clients, if you want long-term support and mentoring after the course is done, then I invite you to book a call with me. I'll give you that information of how to book a call in just a moment. The goal of this course is to teach you constitutional iridology and how to use it confidently, so you can easily integrate what you already know about nutrition and herbology and whatever other modalities you have to confidently create doable client programs in your paid client sessions. Now, I haven't noticed any questions coming in. We've got about 2 minutes to pop those in if you've got questions for me about anything we've talked about today. Our next course start date is April 5th. It'll be 5 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Early registration is open. If you're thinking, this course sounds interesting, I wonder if it's something that I should do. I wonder if it would be of benefit to me in my practicing work, in my professional health coaching, I invite you to book a call. This is the URL, tiny.url.com/insight call. And it's a free call. It's really only for health professionals, though. So if you're just starting out in health and you don't have herbalism or nutrition or something under your belt, or you don't have anatomy and physiology, probably not the best place for you to be. But if you don't have A&P, maybe book a call and I'll tell you where to go to get a good A&P course. We could do that. At any rate, book a call. We'll have a chat. The call is not a sales call. It's not for me to high pressure you into anything. It's for you and I to look at the course, to look at what's involved with the course so that you can decide if this is the right time and the right course for you. All right. So there you go. I only take 10 students in the class. We've got a few students already having reserved places for the April 21st start date. So if you want to learn iridology in a fully mentored setting online, in live classes with lots of support in between classes and even after your classes are done, then I invite you to book a call with me and let's talk about it. Let's see what we can set up for you. Is it the right thing or not? Again, I haven't seen any questions or comments come through. Thank you so much for your time, for being with me today. I truly appreciate it. And if you have enjoyed today's webinar, and if you're new to me and you would like to receive weekly invitations, we've got like 15 different topics we rotate through, shoot me your email somehow, and I will add you to the email invitation list. I look forward to speaking with you, hopefully during this week on a call, or maybe next Thursday on our next webinar. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.